Hello everybody, welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around fantasy Premier League. My name is Suj.
And my name is James.
That's it. Last few weeks games to review, and then we're on to game week 38. Season's Romeo done. Well, I have an outside chance of breaking the top million, I would say, but without Haaland, that's like a real 50-50.
So what's your chance of breaking into almost outside the top 1.5 million?
Nah, that won't happen. But I think there's one player that can go either way, right? Haaland goes big, then it's irrelevant for me. I think because it's so high ownership that it doesn't matter what happens. Like my bench boost week was relatively okay, 121 points. But game week rank was still like a million odd because obviously people have had monster weeks and Haaland did okay. And so, yeah, it's been a difficult season, but it is what it is now. I think also because regardless of what happens on Sunday, West Ham finished 9th.
Oh, you can't even move, no?
We can't catch Man United because they're 5 points ahead of us. And Brighton can't catch us because they're 4 points behind us.
All right, so at least you'll be putting loads of effort in at the Etihad.
There's literally, even if we lost 15-0, we still finished 9th.
Even if you won 15-0, we still finished 9th.
If we won 13-0, at least we did end the season on a positive goal difference. So, you know, boys, play for that at least. Look, we were talking about 10th or 11th is where West Ham might end up finishing. Probably thought it's where we'd be, bar Brighton probably finishing above us. And that's that, really. So, yeah, it is what it is. West Ham position can't change. I just need to hope to get inside the top million. And the only way I can get inside the top million, James, is Haaland doesn't go crazy. And that's a distinct possibility. Been a disappointing yet okay. I'm not sure how I feel about this. You tell me. It's like Edison picked up 13 points, Vicario 4. I thought that Burnley game was my clean sheet hope for Vicario.
You were hoping for a Tottenham clean sheet.
Against Burnley, hopefully. But, you know, Edison 13 points. If Vicario is my bench keeper, 2 points, 2 fixtures, 4 points. He did what he needed to. Kyle Walker, 13 points, despite not starting the first game. So I'm pretty happy with that as well. Ben White, 6 points. Cucurella, a 6-pointer. The penalty disallowed yesterday.
It's not a penalty.
I mean, small margins could have changed things with him as well, potentially. Just the assist, no clean sheets again for him. Kevin De Bruyne did okay for me, 12 points, not captained. 8 from Gordon. Palmer 14, Jackson 7, even Højlund piped up yesterday with 8 points in the end for the game week. Bruno Fernandes with 5, despite missing one game. Shouldn't really complain. Porro, 10-pointer on my bench. The failures were Dan Burn, nada.
That was the one that was going to hurt me the most.
Sonny, nada. And unfortunately, my captain, Isak.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a strange one. I think I would have, if I'd have gone against Haaland this week, that's who I'd have captained.
Yeah, I can't be mad with the decision making.
No.
But
even more so in the sense that Callum Wilson ain't been there as well. You'd have thought that would have bet some of the minutes maybe. So that didn't even happen.
But he was my lowest scoring player. But Dan Burn. I was never going to captain Dan Burn. Literally any other player in my team would have got me more points than Isak.
I'm very sorry for you.
Whatever. It is what it is, right? I'm not crying in my cornflakes, James. 121 points, 1.14 million. I now have flags on Edison, De Bruyne, Gordon. Edison doesn't matter because Vicario was going to play this week anyway, Sheffield United.
Yeah, you don't need to stress about that, yeah. Although it's a 2-pointer, Suj.
Wow, yeah. De Bruyne and Gordon flagged.
Yeah.
But if I was auto subbing, it's Porro and Son come on for them. So again, like if I just dropped them to the bench and did nothing, whatevs. So I'll probably sell Kevin De Bruyne. I have only 0.8 in the bank, so I can't get to Salah.
What if you wrapped Gordon right down to a 4.2 mid or something?
What, find a way to get to Salah?
How much do you say you got in the bank?
I need to find 2.1. I could even get rid of Edison, to be honest with you, if I wanted to. It's taking a hit.
I wouldn't bother, man. There's so many good options this week, particularly in the midfield area. Even within Liverpool. One game one game. Can Luis Diaz outscore Salah one game? Yeah, man. I wouldn't stress to be going.
Yeah, I'm not keen to take a hit here. Get rid of De Bruyne. It gives me 11 million or whatever. But I could just get rid of Gordon, keep De Bruyne. We need to get more information, right? Ultimately, and then we'll know where we stand. 121 on Captain Blank. I'll take it. It's not what I would want. I'd want a game week rank inside the top 500,000 if I'm on bench boost, but didn't get it. So
excuse me. 8,291 of the top 10k were on bench boost this week.
8,291 of the top 10k, so 82%. That's a massive chunk.
Well done.
Massive chunk. You're chucking a lot of numbers. People don't listen with pen and paper.
All right,
hand,
sorry.
Yeah?
These statistics
Make
are
it
courtesy
easy
of our friends at Live FPL Net. The average score for bench boosters in the top 10k this week was just a shade over 133 points.
Yeah, so I'm 12 points behind that, which is basically a Haaland captaincy.
Triple captainers, of which there were 129 in the top 10k, finished on 125 points. The small number of people that wildcarded this week, 115. Those with no chip used this week, 111 average in the top 10k. Free hitters less, 109 average. That was only 148 of that top 10k used that this week. So I think bench boost, you want it to be sort of circa 130-ish and above, really. But if you captain returns, you hit it, but then the average goes up as well, Suj, right? So
the dead team that you and I picked together at the start of the season is 40 points behind me. Haaland could do that on his own, right? Like, would you surprise if Haaland scored 4 goals and the dead team then, because he's auto-captained, overtook me? Like, looking at the dead team, right? Saliba, Gvardiol, Saka, Haaland captain, Ollie Watkins, Foden, Eze. I don't own any of these players. All have high ceilings this week, potentially. So there's every chance. Obviously, I've got
40 points in 1 week is not happening there, but it would be
No,
amazing.
but Haaland captaincy makes it viable, James. Whereas I've got players that are not here, like Isak, Gordon, whatever else, but still.
There is one key stat,
it wouldn't surprise
on Erling Haaland going into this weekend, and you alluded to it on something else we already did this week.
Yes.
Was the amount of goals he scored this season.
Yeah, 26 or 27,
He's
is
on
it?
27.
Okay, so 3 more gets into 30.
Yeah, you don't think that man ain't targeting that.
100% he is.
That's not to say he'll get it. Of course it's not. And you don't tend to get hat-tricks in games like that where a title's being decided. But
it's West Ham.
If the game did get in a situation where City were comfortable, I think back to that Chelsea-Wigan game in 2010 where they were trying to do everything to put it on a plate eventually for Drogba to win the Golden Boot. That's not the case here for Haaland. But he'll be aware of that number. Don't doubt it. He'll be thinking, if I can finish 30, but you finish 30 in back-to-back seasons, and we've all gone, he's not been great this year. I mean, that's
James,
phenomenal,
he's missed 8 games. He hasn't started 8 games this season.
Yeah.
Or 9 games, is it?
Still a joke. I mean, most of us think he's not had a great season, but the output still at the end of the day, you look at it and you go, jeez, who can match that?
Yeah, he hasn't played 9 games. He didn't start, but he's got 27 goals and 8 assists. So 29 games.
He's got 27 goals, 28 starts. Right?
Yeah. And 8 assists. Add them in for fun as well.
So he could well finish on 30 goals in 29 starts.
Yeah, and obviously based on the rumours that we know about his contract that he signed with Man City, his Golden Boot bonus is probably like a couple of billion, and 30 goals a season, he's probably getting about 6-7 billion in bonuses. And
what are you insinuating, sir?
Nothing. No. Listen, he gets 30 goals. I'm sure there's a little cheeky few million quid as a bonus in there.
Paid by an offshore account. Yeah, I'm sure that there probably is some bonus for the amount of goals he scores. I'm sure just for himself anyway. I don't know if anyone's ever done that in the Prem.
Back-to-back 30?
I don't know.
How many people have ever done 30? It'd be a Shearer or an Andy Cole or something. Henry ever did?
It wouldn't be Andy Cole. I don't know if for Shearer, maybe, but then it would have to have included a 42-game season, I think, if that's the case. I'm not sure. Anyway.
How did you do? Better than me.
Pretty well. Do you want to hear how big my jump in rank was this week, Suj?
Yeah, sure.
It was circa 180 places.
Wow.
Which makes it sound like I've got an incredible rank. No, not
Grey
quite.
arrow.
I've gone from 99,313 to 99,136. So still carrying my flake with me this week, Suj. Really pleased with the outcome of 126 points, considering what I said about the averages of those who'd used the chips. So bench boost average 133 top 10k. I've hit 126 with no chip. So the average in top 10k with no chip this week was 111. So well pleased with the way that's worked out. Primarily, I think because of the defensive players carried me through. Gvardiol's 27. Obviously really important here. Pedro Porro's goal on Saturday for the 10-pointer. Cucurella's assist last night, 6. And even though there was no clean sheet for Onana, 5 points. It was comparable. Did Petrovic get 3 and Vicario 4?
Petrovic got, I know Vicario got 4 because I own him.
Yeah,
I'm not
Petrovic
sure what
3,
Petrovic
I think.
picked up total.
Say.
Let's
In your
have
own
a
time.
look. I should know this because I need to DM your missus about the transfer that she made.
Yeah, well, Dubravka didn't do shit
3.
either. 3. So between them...
He might not have done shit, but he did more than...
No, but I'm saying that was a lot of the bench boost combos, I think, in the end. Vicario, Petrovic is 7. Shitty Onana's got me 5, so I've not lost much there. I've made some gains in other areas. Palmer, Foden, good returners. Gordon's obviously returned last night. Haaland captain. Jackson's goal at the weekend as well. Interestingly, Suj, I don't know, some people do want to know this. The bench scored 19.
Okay.
Which I obviously wasn't trying to bench boost, admittedly.
Yeah.
Had I been making a transfer to bench boost, I would have bought Dan Burn this week. So I'd have been one better off than what I did by just getting Chris Richards and opening up the money, which I probably won't end up using by the looks of it this week in any case. So it was 19 in game week 1. It probably would have been 20 in game week 37. Without trying to hit it, if you will. So, yeah, please, couple of different options going into this week now. I'm well set. Like, I think the majority of people who wildcarded in 35 are pretty well set for 38. It was one of the reasons that kind of really clinched the idea for me was this idea that you'd land into 38 afterwards as well and still look at it and go, it's a good team. I mean, I'm looking at Gordon and Isak and thinking, away to Brentford, I might even move it. There's nothing wrong with that fixture. We're Brentford 16th in the league. But with treble City at home to West Ham, double Arsenal that likely become treble Arsenal at home to Everton, double Tottenham at Sheffield United, couple of Chelsea at home to Bournemouth. If I just had to log out now and that was it, then just fine, that's it. So I think for me, an Arsenal attacking mid, Havertz or Saka will be where I go. And then the other transfer, because I've got 2 frees, because I rolled 1 last week, is going to be something like Isak to Gakpo or Gordon to Eliso. And right. I've not decided yet, and I'm not going to overly think about it in all seriousness because the gods will probably determine on team news on Friday he's a doubt or something like that. And just go, yeah, that'll do. I'll move it. I think if I ended up going that Eliso route, there's every chance I'd be benching Isak at the weekend, and if I go to Gakpo route, there's every chance to be benching Gordon. Right. So I feel in a strong position going into the weekend. Good.
Nice. We're going to review the matches since Monday. So there's 4 games that have passed, and then we will also have a look at the weekend coming up. In terms of, I know what a lot of the questions that we've had in on the internet are going to be around. It's like punts for the final week, right? People are really thinking with a single week mindset now, and why not? And it's that time to have a little bit of fun, especially if your rank is as bad as mine. But before we get into the games, James, Alan Shearer, but 93, 94, 94, 95 were 42. Both 42-game seasons, but he scored 31, then 34, and then 94, 95, 96, again 31 goals. So he scored more than 30, 3 seasons in a row, but the first 2 were 42-game seasons.
So no one's done 30 in a row in a 38-game seasons, consecutive 38-game seasons.
No, I don't think anyone has done it twice.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's not the case.
Yeah, no. Calvin Phillips has done it.
Kane is once, I think.
Henry once. Van Persie once.
Did you say Calvin Phillips?
No, Kevin Phillips, sorry. Henry, Van Persie, Kane's done it once. No, Kane's done it twice.
Kane twice.
17, 18 and 22, 23. Then you got Shearer. And then obviously Cristiano Ronaldo has done it. Luis Suarez has done it.
Yeah, 13, 14.
Mo Salah has done it.
Yeah.
Andy Cole did it in a 42-game
93,
season.
94.
And then we have the robot, Erling Haaland. with the highest ever in
So
the Premier League
even
season.
that as an
36.
achievement to get 30 in 2 consecutive Premier League seasons in a 38-game season, it's never been done.
Never been done before, no. So, yeah, maybe he'll be aiming for it. We shall see. The first game on Monday, obviously, we've talked about your traumatic 3 days because of this whole Spurs-Man City game. Anyone interested? We did a really, really lovely Tottenham show yesterday, which has had a lot of lovely feedback. But it was nice to really just get a fan's perspective and not a hyperbolic, like extremist Tottenham fans' point of view where you've got them singing Blue Moon or let's throw the ball in the back of the net, but actually balanced about what it felt like. But that whole game, Spurs-Man City, was the attitude on that game was quite dependent on what happened in the Villa-Liverpool game, or it could have been anyway. And it's ended up a 3-3 draw. Liverpool kind of threw it away a little bit.
I say somehow because, as I explained on that podcast yesterday, which, by the way, you don't even need to pay for.
It's available to free
It's available
members.
to free patrons. You can actually sign up as a patron, as a free member. And we've actually made that podcast yesterday available to free members. So you sign up for free
get,
and you've got it.
Access to some of the posts that are put out and what have you, just not necessarily the content. I would very strongly recommend listening to it.
Yeah, because I don't want to fucking repeat it all on this one either. Thank you, boss. Strange game because Villa had good chances, right? I mean, you look at that Diego Carlos, man, it's bloody hell.
Yeah.
It's one of the highest XGs of the season that from a missed opportunity, one of the misses of the season.
That's why you don't want your centre-backs.
And yeah, when I turned it on, as I said to you, it was 3-1 to Liverpool and they were in cruise mode, completely cruising to victory. Duran got a brilliant goal and then obviously it's fortuitous with the equaliser, but you earn your luck in certain moments. He's a very talented player, I think, by the way.
John Duran.
There's been links with Chelsea, and I wonder if a few others might be looking at him and going, you could be my 9 in this league. And he's a very talented player there. There'll come a point where he's going to go, I don't want to sit behind Watkins here.
Did they buy him, or is he through the youth setup there at Villa?
Young Irish striker, if you ask Clayton. That's a patron joke. No, they bought him. They bought him from, I think they bought him from an MLS club, but he's Colombian, isn't he? I think. Yeah. Really talented forward who's getting a few eyes on him now. And when he's getting involved, he's having an impact for the team. He'll get to a point where he's going, I want to bloody play, and he's not going to because of Ollie Watkins, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, congratulations to our Villa followers, listeners, viewers on finishing fourth and qualifying for the Champions League. Genuinely 100%. Deserved over the course of the season. Some Tottenham fans might tell you on the sheer fact that you beat Arsenal home and away, that is more than enough reason to deserve finishing fourth. And I wish you luck and I hope you have the big ties next season. Unai Emery has done a remarkable job there, which has been consistent now over a long period. But there have been some recent trends that are a little bit more concerning. The guys on Monday Night Football did a good job of highlighting this in their build-up to the game on Monday night. Certainly the amount of opportunities they're giving up is very much on the rise. I think it's something to think about and consider going into next season. And it's also something to think about going into Sunday because Michael Olise is getting a lot of attention. And there's no doubt that Villa will be celebrating. And they have every right to. And it's not to suggest they're going to turn up at Selhurst Park hungover or pissed, but it's done. Just the mental fatigue of what they'd have been going through because they haven't done it yet, and also combining with, they lost to Olympiacos in the Conference League semi-finals. They might well have their eyes off the ball. It could go the other way. They could completely relax, play their football. It, generally speaking, still got the better quality of players than Palace, despite their brilliant form. They might go down and win well. But it's interesting. I don't think anyone's looking at Villa players this weekend. You'd be looking at Olise,
100%,
wouldn't you?
Yep.
Emi Martinez has an outstanding season, but he's obviously had an absolute rick on the goal. And I think the other takeaway that most people had from Monday night, from the Liverpool perspective, was disappointment in Mo. I don't want to say he's not at it or not even playing well at the moment, but
he is not at it.
There's been a vibe since this return from injury.
I don't think it's lack of application. It's just sometimes players got off form.
No. It does feel like we've had this before towards this stage of the season where he's been quieter towards the end. I don't know if there's the impact of him fasting and stuff.
That was a while ago, though.
But I also feel like there's been end of seasons where he smashed it. Yeah, but I don't know if there's an impact on that, particularly this year, in the sense there was injury fasting coming back. Doesn't normally get injured, does he?
No,
so
rarely.
It might even also be that the injury, because it's a player who doesn't get injured much, that's an impact on his finish to the season. There is a contract issue that needs to be sorted out with Liverpool this summer because he's got 1 year to go. So is Virgil van Dijk, so is Trent Alexander-Arnold. And that's probably the priority for Liverpool in the first instance under Arne Slot, is to decide what's going to happen with these 3 players. I'm sure ideally the club wants to keep all 3 of them.
They haven't announced Arne Slot though yet, have they?
It's
done.
Worst kept secret, a little bit like Lopetegui, right? It's coming, I think.
Yep.
Let Klopp and Moyes have their moments, and then probably next week you can expect it. So, yeah, it'd be an interesting month or so ahead for Liverpool. And despite concerns, they're obviously still scoring plenty of goals. And Wolves feel like a team that you could certainly attack against at the weekend. So I think, despite what I'm saying with Mo, those who can get there should consider it. Because if you can, there's everyone's like me and you are looking at going, it's got to be a -4 to get there.
Yeah.
So maybe take advantage of that. Also Trent, someone who can have a high ceiling of what they can do at the weekend. If you can get these sort of players in at the end, I think you'll feel better about yourself if you steam into players like that who are going to be far bigger differentials than what they'd normally be at this stage of a season. But there are certainly other Liverpool players you can attack. Luis Diaz is one, as certainly an alternative to
if he's starting.
Salah. I can really, really visualise Cody Gakpo doing well on Sunday.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this on the way in this morning. I don't know. I can just visualise him getting a couple at the weekend. I can see it. I should add, I thought Darwin Núñez worked his nuts off when he came on. He looked like a player. It's just nuts, Nico. It's not that funny, bruv. He worked really hard, Nico, and looked really, really up for it and intent to... There's obviously been bits of speculation, these deleted Instagram images and stuff like that. Why are you giggling like a child as well? Like you've never heard the word nuts before.
It's not that. I'm just thinking about Harry, right? Obviously, he's still...
Oh, this gets worse.
No.
Are you referring to Kane or my son?
No, your son. Because I'm wondering, what do you refer to testicles with your 5-6-year-old? 5-year-old, is he now 5 yet? Not yet.
He's 5, yeah.
Because with my kids, they used to say peanuts as opposed to nuts. So I was just laughing about the fact that I was like, of all the nuts to choose, they'd be like, oh, I got hit in the peanuts. I'm like, peanuts. Of all the nuts to choose, why did you choose peanuts? I'm interested to know, like, what do you use with Harry? Or what will you use?
Nothing yet.
Peanuts.
It's a willy.
So would you go nuts?
It's a willy.
Or be specific with the type of nuts?
What is the moment that we decide that in education we have to call it a penis? Why does it start as a willy when you're a child? Why is that? Why isn't it just a penis from the start?
Yeah.
Does anyone know?
I have no idea why it's peanuts. In my house, has always been to the kids... It's like peanuts is what they're referred to as opposed to nuts. I have no idea why.
Right, anyway.
That's what I was laughing about.
I might get my cock out for a Cody Gakpo purchase.
Jump in the
weekend.
Comments on YouTube. What is your nut of choice when referring to the testes?
Why is it called a willy when you're a child?
Yeah.
Why? No grown man says, my willy needs a wee, or like, it just doesn't happen.
Nah.
I don't know why. Just all because you laugh, Nico. Now we're talking about nuts rather than football. I think Gakpo, Salah, Diaz, Trent, all reasonable this weekend. Obviously, Andy Robertson missed out, but I would presume if he's still unavailable, then Joe Gomez just plays again. There might be something kind of written to say, hey, he's never scored for Liverpool. It might happen this weekend, but that's not the player that you're going to go and buy. And I wouldn't be surprised if they concede as well, because where Wolves are strong with obviously Hwang and Cunha, Neto might even make an appearance this weekend as well. So I think there's eyes on Liverpool. It feels limited. I think Villa, you're probably not going into at this stage, but they should be absolutely delighted with what they've done this season.
Correct. Tuesday night, James, was a very, very rare collector's piece. How many times this season will the game end with Manchester City having less possession than the opposition? 53% for Spurs, 47%. I reckon it might have happened maybe 2-3 times over the course of an entire season.
How many times this season you got 2 goalkeepers got a save point?
I'm not sure.
I don't know the answer.
Probably
either.
rare.
No, I've not looked.
How many times this season has your team had 4 big chances and missed them all?
Probably a few times, actually.
If you play against Man City, you get 53% possession, you rack up an XG of 1.6, get 4 big chances. you got to take them because they're the type of team where you don't matter, because they've come away with a 2-0, which most of us would have expected. The second half, it would have been fairly inevitable as they turned the heat up, but that big chances and possession and shots tells a tale of a team that were in it and had a chance and really did well. I felt nervous watching it because you commit so many men forward and press so high. For the first half, particularly, you did it well enough that you didn't get caught too badly. But if you get caught, what happens? Haaland's in 1-on-1 and that's it, game over type thing. So, but when you've got 5-6 players pressing against their back four and they're holding midfielders, it makes me nervous, man. Yeah. I don't know how you watch it. Doesn't it worry you that, oh shit, if we're overcommitting
a lot of the Tottenham fans on Tuesday this was something I did mean to talk about on Tottenham yesterday and I didn't actually, because I talk a lot about the atmosphere on that podcast and stuff, and a lot's been made of it, and I kind of give some more truths on it, having been in the stadium on the night. But the one thing that this kind of different vibe of atmosphere had, when you get all that playing about at the back, there'd always be new people in the stadium who don't understand that's how you want to play. I told you I was at Anfield and they got caught loads of times trying to play out, and bloke behind me shout, just lump it long, and you look up and all you can see is Van Dijk marking Son. It's like there's no point.
To where?
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's part why Richarlison's been a real big miss for the team recently, in just that presence, that ability to run behind, drop short, holding, all the ugly stuff. The ugly stuff Richarlison does really well. But from an atmosphere perspective, that bit when you're playing out from the back, after crowd's thinking, well, I don't mind if you lose it here.
Yeah.
So I actually think it helped because it was all happening and it was like, draw them on. There was none of that nervous, get rid of it. Everyone had a chilled vibe.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, the players benefited. I know there's a lot been made, and it is true that if there'd have been more raucous atmosphere, it might have helped them more. But actually, in terms of that specifically, that lack of nervous energy, it's often easier to do it away from home because there'll be dickheads be like, just knock it long, or people screaming or whatever because I can't take it. There was none of that. And I think the players benefited knowing that there was a release and there wasn't a nervous energy for them when they were trying to do it. And yeah, I was really pleased, really pleased with the way my team performed on Tuesday night. It certainly, as I said, at half time, there was no way you couldn't look at my team and go, well, there's definitely value to be on terms here.
It's very much a blueprint, though, for City, right? Whacking Van de Ven out left and then having Papsar doing what he was doing ahead of the midfield. You wouldn't do that. Put it this way. If you did that against Sheffield United, you'd be very surprised.
Both things a little bit in force. So when we saw the team, there was a lot of chatter about what it could be. I think there was a general consensus that, it was probably going to be sort of Maddison at the top and just him go and play where he wanted, and it would maybe be a flatter three. The system wasn't that different to what Tottenham normally do, other than the two wide players were the absolute highest point. Think back of, Barcelona. This is a shit comparison, but just from a positional structure, Barcelona's two wide players, you'd have like Omri on one side and I don't know, Pedro on the other side, or whoever was there instead at the time, right, holding that touchline at the top, and Messi just going and doing whatever he wanted, basically. And I'm not comparing Son and Johnson to the other players that I mentioned here, but just right high at the top.
And nor Sarr to Messi.
No centre forward. But the real surprising thing about it was, it's Sarr. Sarr is the top man in this system, which created Tottenham's kind of own box system. So a lot of teams do this with the box now, someone moving inside. Tottenham's fullbacks didn't do that as much. Porro did it a bit. Van de Ven didn't, because he's just not comfortable. He's had to play left back because there's no Udogie, no Davis. Royal's not worked. You wouldn't have wanted Skip going against Bernardo Silva. And Mickey finished the game really well in that position against Burnley. And Radu Dragusin inside him played fine as well. It allowed Tottenham on occasion to build in a back three structure, because you've got a back three, you've got three centre-backs essentially. So Porro was drifting in midfield, but it was creating a box where Bentancur played a bit deeper than normal alongside Højbjerg, and you'd have Sarr, Maddison at the top of that, and then no centre-forward. And it gave City a real headache. The reason it gave City a real headache is reflecting on the two games we've had with them previously this season. So I said numerous times in the build-up to the 3-3 draw in December, that was gutted that we didn't have our best players available, because I really fancied that we could do them some problems. And the big reason that I felt that was possible was because at that point, I felt City's pressing structure was really not working. And I think Haaland, despite we've obviously eulogised about him, that off the ball, it's easier to play against Manchester City when he plays. Because you can't do what they did to us in January in the FA Cup tie, where they went man-to-man all over the pitch. You knew exactly how Tottenham were going to play, went man-to-man all over the pitch. And really importantly that night, this just sounds silly, neither Haaland or Kevin De Bruyne started that game in that FA Cup tie, and they put on an outstanding defensive display. We couldn't that night, Suj. We could barely get to the halfway line on the ball.
Yep.
Because they were so good off the ball. Bring Haaland, De Bruyne back into that. The legs aren't quite the same. Kevin is aging a little. He's still world-class. Look at the assist. But there's definitely something spark-wise off the ball that is not quite right for me when those two play. Now, Haaland's always going to play, isn't he? So this is going to be an ongoing issue that City, I think, need to find a solution to. Think back to the 0-0 with Arsenal. And I think it was easy for Arsenal in the moments that they had the ball to feel content going against De Bruyne and Haaland pressing against them, because the speed and intensity of it is not the same as, to be honest, people like Alvarez and Foden off the ball. And because I think Ange had identified from that cup tie what Pep did, obviously starting there with no forwards and having someone like Sarr as almost the furthest advanced player, pinning the two full-backs deep, meant they couldn't double up press in wide areas, and it also left the centre-backs going, oh, we can't do this. You can't go into Sarr and Maddison. So City had to change the way they played, which has been happening anyway because Kovacic has been sitting way more alongside Rodri. But what it meant was Tottenham had numerical advantages in their build-up, which they couldn't manipulate in January. So all this talk about Ange and his presser, etc., he actually come up with a different tactical system, which he hasn't done often this season, that really worked, I felt. And on a different day, we win the game. That's not to say we deserve to win it. I'm just telling you, on a different day, we win that football match.
Agreed.
Obviously, once City score, it became easier for them because the tension in the game has gone, because you're just like, we've got to score. And even I'm sitting there thinking, well, everyone fucking scores against us, but wasn't certain that they would. And it was because we were playing really well. It's that typical City goal we've seen so many times over with De Bruyne on the outside, and you can see it coming from a mile off. You can't stop it. No. Brilliant goal. The robot's there to finish it off. Technical Doku assist for Haaland. You might want to note that, because there hasn't been one all season, with Doku winning the penalty. Job done for City. Not vintage, as it wasn't vintage for Arsenal at Manchester United, and Pep spoke afterwards a lot about Sunday being difficult as well. He's obviously going to say that, but he was speaking about it more from the mental perspective. He's like, you need to understand that, like, we've been trying to tell the players to relax in the moment. It's not easy. It's also not easy in a weird sense that they're going to go from this team, who you'd mentioned right at the start, Tottenham, who's out past them, basically. West Ham one.
Oh, mate. Well, this is it, right? But
West Ham won't have half the ball of what Tottenham had.
Yeah. The key for Man City against West Ham is going to be scoring early. Like, if they score early and get ahead early, then the whole dynamic game state changes very, very quickly. And we've seen them do it so often against us. If they don't, yeah, you're talking about trying to break down a bank of 4, bank of 5, and it's going to be a very, very different game. If there was a team in the league that would sit in deep, we're one of, I don't know who else in the team in the league is as low block as we are. So many other teams have changed nowadays in the style of play, even like a Palace or whatever. So if there's a team that's just going to be the most annoying low block, it'll be West Ham.
The irony is, if you were to pick teams in the Premier League, you'd say, right, on the ball, they're not the best in terms of stylistic, but two teams who could on their day go away to a top team and put on the sort of performance where they come away with a 0-0, yourselves and Everton would probably be
well up there,
be the top two.
Yeah,
but I can't foresee anything other than the two teams winning comfortably on Sunday. As in City and Arsenal.
Yeah, 100%. But I think from a West Ham point of view, I think we'll see Antonio dropped. And I think James Ward-Prowse will come back into the team. So he'll then have a midfield three of Alvarez, Ward-Prowse and Souček sitting in front of the back four. And then you got Paqueta and Kudus tucking in to make it a 5 and then leave Bowen as an outlet. So it'll be a 4-5-1 almost.
I wonder if it might inspire what Tottenham did, might inspire something similar from West Ham, which you could do. Kudus and Bowen high. Paqueta as your more Maddison type. You could do it a bit differently, maybe with Souček in the role, rather than Sarr, because it's an aerial out for you as a kind of like an Antonio target as well. Might do. Might inspire that. I mean, but you ain't going to play against them the way my team
just let them have the ball. So let's do it this way. Okay, look, you guys are playing the worst team in the league. Your preference of top 3 Spurs assets in order, go.
Shit. I don't know why, but I wasn't expecting that question.
Well, people are going to... If you're punting on the final day, why not punt against the team that are playing at the bottom of the league? And Spurs' historical record on the final day will tempt a few. Johnson?
Okay. Before I answer that, goal difference now irrelevant. That's important here. So there was going to be a circumstance, obviously, if Tottenham were drawn on Tuesday night, where it'd be, okay, shit, Tottenham might need to get 5 or 6 goals. That doesn't exist. If Tottenham lose and Chelsea win, then Chelsea will finish 5th. Chelsea's goal difference is already better. So from that perspective, the goal difference is irrelevant. It's also irrelevant in Newcastle's chase of Chelsea as well. So the whole goal difference gig at this weekend is basically irrelevant, because even if as well City draw and Arsenal win, is also irrelevant. In each case, the team chasing, weirdly, has a better goal difference. The exception here, of course, is the Forest Luton, which is it's too much.
Yep.
So the goal difference aspect is irrelevant. So remove that from your thinking. I think my team will be pretty keen to put on a performance and win. That feels
a given.
No, it doesn't. Because nothing is a given for us at the moment. But it feels like it's important, not for 5th. It just feels like it's important that everyone finishes this with a nice happy day at the end, I think. For the manager, the players, the fans, everything. That feels more important than the actual consequence of Europa League or Conference League football or whatever. The team is now guaranteed some form of European football. Even if it could still be the Conference League if it's 6th and if Manchester United win the FA Cup. But Tottenham can't finish lower than 6th now, so it would only not be the Europa League if they lose on Sunday, Chelsea win on Sunday, and Manchester United win the FA Cup final. So the physical importance in terms of finishing for Tottenham, the result probably doesn't matter at all at this stage, and I kind of always suspected it would end up this way. But I think there will be a keenness, as I said, to put on a performance and get the right result. I feel less confident of us smashing them to bits than I would have a few days ago, despite being really pleased with what I saw on Tuesday. And it's complicated how we might set up, because we might just do the same thing here, Suj.
Yeah.
You might, where's Sheffield United? You've got to have something up top. It's a bit different. If you just imagine we set up the same way, they ain't going to touch us when we have the ball, are we? No. It will be a possession number similar to what Man City would have there. So we might set up the same. We might move Kulusevski into that position. So Kulusevski came on and played the kind of false 9 role towards the end of the game because he really wanted to keep Johnson and Son wide. But you're effectively comparing playing against the would-be champions to the team that's definitely going to finish bottom in consecutive games. You might get something completely different. I wonder, I have an inkling that he might try Johnson through the middle. You know how many big chances he's missed this season?
Johnson?
Yeah, I was staggered when I saw this.
7.
16. He's really a player to keep an eye on next season. But it's also the sort of number that makes you think, yeah, with that opponent, there's potential there. But I don't see, Suj, if someone's only got 2 Tottenham, I don't see people picking Johnson over, say, Elise at a similar price this week.
Nah.
I don't see it.
No.
And I don't see many wanting to make new investment in Tottenham this week. I'm guessing Sun owners have got. Some will sell Sun this week.
I mean, if it enables Salah, would you do it?
Possibly. I don't know. I'm just trying to think what else you would. Maybe Son and Fernandes to Salah and Elise. Actually, Suj, I can do that, and it's not on my mind. So the answer's no, isn't it?
Okay.
No, I'm not selling Son before that fixture because there's capability. Also, as I'd mentioned on Monday's pod, and we'll mention it on Clash of Correspondence no doubt tomorrow as well, because it's the game we're going to cover, so you can get Ricky Saunders' opinion as well. Ben Tomo Thompson beyond COTC for that as well. Is the amount of goals Tottenham have scored in their last 3 game week 38 games. It's 13 goals scored, and they were all away. Leicester 4-2, Norwich 5-0, and Leeds 4-1. So there's a historical here of what Tottenham
Norwich
can
already
do.
relegated. Leeds already relegated.
Leeds were not relegated, but
basically relegated.
They needed results elsewhere to go their way as well. It did help that we scored after like 2 minutes. The Leicester one, Leicester were going for a Champions League place.
Right.
We were 8th. It was Gareth Bale's last game. We were 2-1 down with 15 minutes to go and won 4-2. But yeah, I don't know, you get these weird quirks. The thing is, that's not going to last forever, is it? But in terms of the last 2 seasons, yeah, there is something about Tottenham going away on game week 38 and waving teams off to the Championship and sending them packing with their tails firmly between their legs, and that might happen again this weekend. To answer your question, Suj, I think it would probably have to be Son, Johnson, Maddison in that order.
Okay. Let's talk about Brighton, Chelsea. Just 2 more games to cover off. Obviously, Danny Welbeck's late consolation goal makes the scoreline look a little bit closer.
Did you know it's the first goal he scored at home all season?
I did not.
That's mad, that.
I did not. This is the Mad Stat Pod. Did you know Cole Palmer hadn't scored a headed goal this season before that one? I made that one up on the spot, but I don't think he has. I don't remember him scoring a headed goal all season.
There must be other people who thought the exact thing that I thought when they saw that Cole Palmer goal.
What?
It was the Kevin De Bruyne goal from a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, yeah.
Like 2 midfielders.
You don't associate with headed goals.
2 brilliant, absolutely looping headed goals in the same net at the same stadium at Brighton.
Yep.
Yeah, very strange. And it was some header as well.
Yeah, good goal.
He knows, I think with the De Bruyne one, he knows he's got to get that kind of Van Persie kind of loop on it, and hopefully it'll go over the keeper. Palmer knows exactly what he's doing, as he does often when the ball's at his feet as well. It's just, I've said it so many times, for me, he's the individual player of this football season. And he's one of the best value FPL assets of all time as well, and returned well. And I guess those who went for him on captaincy, he's basically matched Haaland, right?
Yep. And
it's a home game to come on the weekend, and his home returns especially are astonishing this season.
It's Bournemouth they play, right?
Yeah. We're a good football team, Bournemouth. We've seen a lot of that, but Bournemouth lost 3-0 at Arsenal recently, and Chelsea are in absolutely brilliant form. What is it, 5 wins in a row, Suj? 4 wins in a row?
They're doing really well. Suddenly all this Pochettino talk's completely quietened down, and
well, it's also the beginning to get players fit. Nkunku comes on and scores last night. You've got Ben Chilwell sitting on the bench. I mean, it was the first time in a number where you looked at the Chelsea bench and went, "Whoa, shit!" It's pretty strong, that actually. But the biggest headline from this, Suj, was that there was a moment that happened, and instantly everybody had already decided what they were doing in game week 4 next season, and it's buy Reece James. You can already see it now, can't you? Chelsea have 3 tough fixtures starting next season. Why game week
4? Oh, okay. So
and then game week 4, it's like Ipswich at home. Game week 5, Everton at home.
Is that because he'll be suspended? Right, okay, for the first 2. But it won't be for 3 games next season.
He's got a 4-game ban, Suj.
Oh, wow.
Because it's his 2nd red card of the season.
Wow.
He was sent off at Newcastle earlier in the season.
Straight red.
So this counts as violent conduct.
Yeah.
It's certainly debatable whether it is or it's not.
But he's kicked out, so it's fine.
How many times has he started? Been sent off twice this week?
This season?
This season.
How many games has he started?
How many games actually started? 5, 6?
Let me see if I can figure that out. Ain't going to be many.
Could it? And he's not the sort of player you associate with that sort of thing. He's had a brain fart. Unfortunately, once they start looking at it, it's a red card, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yes, he will be suspended for game week 38. So, the good news is that's going to save people taking a stupid punt.
He's played 10 games.
He started 10.
No, total played 10 games. I don't know how many he started. Started half of that, 5.
Started 5. How many minutes?
Minutes per game is 43, so 215 minutes.
Not total minutes, no?
No, I'm on SofaScore. It shows...
I think on FPL it shows it. So
yeah.
So, yes, he'll miss game week 38. and he will miss the first 3 Premier League games of next season as well.
He won't be fit for game week 4.
Unless, little caveat for you kids, unless Chelsea don't qualify for Europe, there's every chance he might miss a League Cup second round tie instead, possibly, subject to how the calendar lands. But yeah, that's, I mean, if anyone went for that this week, and I was getting asked, what do you think? What do you think? Bloody hell. People won't be doing that. 416
minutes.
So, of course, the
11 matches.
How many minutes?
416 minutes.
416 minutes?
Yeah.
He's been sent off twice.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Okay.
Red cards.
What you can punt on, of course, this week is Malo Gusto, who so many people, and I completely understand this, would have taken -4s to move him on this week.
Yeah.
And he's ended up with the 12-pointer last night because the assist, really good assist. And obviously the clean sheets, he's got subbed before Danny Welbeck's late goal. Gutted, I feel for you. Those who've held will probably want to play it again this week. As I suggested on Monday, I think the Cucurella inverting experiment might be coming towards an end. It's worth saying longer term, by the way. Reece James could absolutely play that role on the other side for Chelsea. And I think in time, so will Malo Gusto as well. I've not seen a lot of the game last night to be able to determine whether it did or it didn't happen. Gusto will be really popular game week 1 if Chelsea have got the flip and they've got 3 really good opening fixtures. And he's cheap again, but he's got to jump up into the 5 level, I think. I think he's shown enough to get that jump. But he might not, because people might still look at it and go, well, he's the backup right back to Reece James.
Yep.
And they're underpriced players. I don't know. I think investing new in Chelsea is probably not going to happen this weekend. I think people are probably either already on it. I'm probably happy with their lot. Palmer's obviously not going anywhere for people. Jackson's ownership's quite high. If you were to move it, you're moving it to what that's definitely better. What, Jackson to like Gakpo, for example, or what are you definitively moving it to at this stage? I think Jackson owners probably hold, I would guess. I'd probably, as I said, I'd probably pick him over Isak this week. Just another home game, and actually he's returning okay at the moment. He should have returned well again last night as well. He's had a goal disallowed, had a good chance that he snatched out. He could have done better out. Would have been another Palmer assist as well. The one that would be mad punty for the weekend is Nkunku.
Came off the bench.
Who finally got to blow up his balloon. I know the Chelsea guys were saying, he's played 48 minutes last night. The Chelsea guys were saying that he looked absolutely shattered at the end. But he's now got 3 goals. You talk about minutes. He's now got 3 goals in 411 minutes this season, Suj. And a lot of that's
more goals than Reece James' red cards, but only by 1 for
in
the
a
same
similar
minutes.
amount of time. How interesting. Look, he's 7.2. The price is irrelevant. Obviously, at this stage, you either afford something or you don't. Mudryk obviously went off injured last night. Tariq Lamptey might have been a bit fortunate not to get sent off, actually, in the same incident. There's every chance that Nkunku will start Sunday. Keep an eye on pressers. I mean, if you want something that's practically nothing owned, the caveat to that is a little bit like what I said with Trossard earlier in the week. He ain't going to get you 90. Oh, Nkunku's starting. Okay, he's probably going to be in the 60 mark, if it is. But the one thing I've always maintained on him is this fella will score goals. And he'll be a really interesting asset in this game next season if he has a good pre-season. He did play on the left when he came on. Jackson stayed through the middle. But what they did a lot in pre-season when they played together, they interchanged that role. He arrives into the area at the right times. He smells goals, this player. So that would be a huge one for Sunday. One very much to keep an eye on in the summer.
Cool, let's keep it moving. Manchester United 3, Newcastle United 2. Again, a late consolation goal, making the scoreline look a little bit closer than it was prior to that in terms of 3-1. But Newcastle out XG'd them.
I mean, who doesn't? How many shots for Newcastle last night?
21.
That's about par.
17 for Man United.
How many did Arsenal have on Sunday? Arsenal's was low on Sunday, wasn't it?
I'll double check for you.
They concede over average 20 shots per game. Anyway.
It's mad.
I think they needed to hit sort of 70 in their last 3 games to finish in the worst 5 teams ever in Premier League history for most shots conceded.
No, Arsenal was 11 shots.
Only 11, yeah. So it won't end up quite that bad unless Brighton have 40 shots on Sunday, which actually the way Brighton played probably won't work out. And it's difficult. That's a difficult one to call actually on Sunday. United at Brighton actually.
I mean, for me, it's a swerve.
I
think from an FPL point of view.
Fernandes was, in my opinion, probably not 100% last night, but has played. There was numerous times in the second half he was clutching at his hamstring. You're thinking, if this is any other player, you're going off the pitch here. But he didn't want to know and carried on. He's ended up with a deserved assist in the end. There's the controversy around Kobe Mino's goal, because I think Fernandes touches that personally. There's plenty out there will say that's revenge for the Edison Cavani goal in game week 38 of the 2020-21 season. It's been coming because of that one. He does, in my opinion, look like he gets it. It's not up to FPL. It's up to Will award the assists on that particular one because it's not like from a rebound shot or something like that. Clearly, as said Monday, this team has personality again when he plays. Whether you like him, you dislike him, whatever, he can make shit happen. I'm pleased Amad Diallo played again. Really lively, got a nice goal. I do think there's plenty of other goalkeepers would save that, despite the fact he hits it very well. Newcastle defending on the opening goal was terrible. Kieran Trippier, maybe there's something about that end and playing offside after Casemiro's laziness at the weekend. Kieran Trippier defends that situation like an amateur. He's obviously just come back from injury. I think he's had a concerning season even prior to. It's difficult to be critical. He's just come back, but I think he was having a concerning season anyway. I think most Newcastle fans would admit to that, and I'd see that as concerning for England in the summer. I'd still take him because of his experience and his ability to cover on both sides. But that's a little bit concerning. It really feels like a real missed opportunity for Newcastle. They do. This is the one scenario where they have a better goal difference than the team chasing them, don't they? Because Manchester United are obviously in the minus. They're level on points now, aren't they?
It's because they haven't scored enough goals, Manchester United, this season.
So the situation as it stands at the moment is 5th and 6th will be Europa League, 7th will be Europa Conference League. Unless Manchester United obviously win the FA Cup, then 6th becomes Conference League.
Right.
7th gets nothing.
Okay.
So Newcastle have now landed in a position where...
If the table stays as it is.
Yeah, Newcastle have now landed in a position where to catch Chelsea, they've got to win and Chelsea got to lose to Bournemouth. And to be honest, with Chelsea's form at the moment, I don't see that. I would expect Chelsea to win. Yeah. So Newcastle have got to hold off United to get in the Conference League. And then I was going to say hope United don't beat City, but you could probably put your feet up about that, kids, in my opinion.
Probably. But still...
but it does really feel like a kind of a missed opportunity. It's not that going in the Conference League's terrible, like it's not. But I really expected Newcastle to win last night, and I know they've got injury issues again, and likes of Trippier just coming back. He's obviously decided Nick Pope's not ready yet. Probably in hindsight, wishes he played him. I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if Pope does play at Brentford on Sunday. Fabian Schär obviously has only come on as a substitute. There's missing bodies, but it also felt like a missed opportunity last night. And the game could have felt very differently when Newcastle won. I mean, in fairness, Casemiro has made one incredible clearance off the line from what would have been a Dan Burn-headed goal that close to going over the line, Suj. And that's me hitting probably a fairly sizable red arrow if that goes in rather than the tiny green that I've got. Yeah, I think Newcastle fans would be really disappointed with that this morning. For United, it felt like they needed something, a little bit of a shot in the arm, because I think most United fans will think I'm just going to lose these remaining games. And I'm sure there's still a cluster of United fans who think they'll get beat at Brighton at the weekend. What did you think of them giving Ten Hag the mic after the game? That was interesting.
I didn't.
I think it's interesting.
I think I'm wondering whether your question is laced with did they do it as a way of him addressing the fans before leaving the club for good?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Well, he's give like a rousing speech of like, I promise you we will do our best to bring the FA Cup home and stuff like this.
What do I think of it?
Do you think he'll stay or not?
Really 50-50.
I can't see it.
Really 50-50.
I
don't think he's done enough to justify like sacking. Like, they haven't been awful, right? Look what happened to Arsenal.
If Manchester United finish 8th, mate.
Manchester United's last 2 seasons, they finished 8th, and then what did they finish last season?
Manchester United never finished lower than 7th, mate.
Okay, where did they finish last season?
3rd or 4th, one or the
right?
other.
Okay, well, look, Arteta finished 8th with Arsenal, and then went on to, a couple of years later, challenge for the title.
Yeah, but Arteta...
So, finishing 8th doesn't make you a bad manager.
No, but a couple of things to say about that. One, that's a COVID season, and football was just weird. And 2, it wasn't like he'd gone from 4th to 8th.
Yeah, I get the drop from 4th to 8th is a problem, but finishing 8th in this league with that much quality around isn't ideal. But look at their centre-back pairings that they've had all season to deal with. They bought Mason Mount, who I think is a very good player, hasn't been fit all season. So I think they've struggled with injuries. They've also struggled with some bad signings, in my opinion, culturally. I don't lay all of the blame at Ten Hag's feet for what's happened this season, and as a result, I don't think they should let him go. I think wherever they look at, like I saw Thomas Frank's name mentioned yesterday, for example, they're all sideways. I don't know where. I haven't heard a name mentioned for the Manchester United job. Maybe De Zerbi. That's an upward step. So many of the names are like sideways managerial appointments. So if you're going to go sideways, like would I rather Ten Hag or Thomas Frank? Just stick with Ten Hag. Like, yeah, I don't see that as going to improve the situation. De Zerbi, maybe.
You don't know what Thomas Frank might do with a club like that.
No, but it could be just as bad as it is good.
And Brentford get labelled a lot of things, but I'll tell you what, when they play inferior sides, they play some really nice football.
Yeah,
he gets the balance between understanding the quality of the
pragmatic
opponent and stuff.
Not.
Yeah, I think so. Gary O'Neill's been similar with Wolves this year.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm 50-50. That's very 50-50 for me.
It's easy to forget, I think, expectations at the start of the season. I'll ask you, how many of our correspondents, the 20 correspondents, you think thought Man United will finish top 4 this year?
16.
18.
Whew, yep.
A couple of them thought they'd finish 2nd. And that feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it?
It wasn't that long ago.
It's really gone backwards. On Eddie Howe and Newcastle, there's big mitigating for what's happened this season with the injuries. I mean, that's clear. You're not investing in these two
why is there not
teams
mitigation for Man United then?
Because it's Man United for one. And
so,
2, no.
So
defensive,
the name,
on
the door means that you don't get slack for injuries.
The defensive injuries
Why
have been
Tottenham
bad.
Get slack for injury?
Okay, I'll tell you what the difference is then between those two teams. I went to Newcastle a few weeks ago and Eddie Howe put on an absolute tactical masterclass to completely nullify my football team and expose weaknesses and fragilities in it. My team played Manchester United and played them off the pitch twice this season.
So
tell me a game.
You can't use 3 games of football as a benchmark.
If you're comparing those, okay, fine. Then you pick any Ten Hag game where you go, oh, what he's done there tactically. Give me any game.
I just look at reserve centre-backs coming into the team. And when it's like Johnny Evans, now that's the fault of the club.
When Newcastle beat us 4-0, they had Emil Kraft, Jacob Murphy.
Better than Johnny Evans. Murphy's played plenty of minutes over the last 2 seasons.
Basically played left back.
Yeah, but Elliot Anderson's another player that at points you've tipped unfair. Up. They're all better players than the players in the Manchester United team. If you said to me, West Ham are going to sign Elliot Anderson or Anthony, I'd say Elliot Anderson all day long.
So would I, mate.
Well, exactly. They're better players if you're going to sign.
Also, as far as
Harry
we're
Maguire,
aware, Elliot Anderson isn't a dislikable twat.
Well, exactly. But what I'm saying is I think their B team at Newcastle is better. I just think it doesn't matter what tactics you ask them to play. If the players are that bad or that old, they're not going to do it. I also think there is some blame at Ten Hag's feet. I just don't think he's done badly enough to justify sack and change and start again, because that's all it's been for Manchester United since Sir Alex left, right? Are you as good as Sir Alex? No, fine, fuck it, let's move on.
Okay.
Just chill for a little bit.
I think. I told you, my dad keeps saying to me, when are they going to sack him? When are they going to sack him? I hope that they win the cup final and they have a rethink and they carry on.
I think they should keep him, but we'll see what happens.
I just think you're delaying the inevitable. And I don't have anything against Manchester United. And do you know what? I don't have anything against him. And his Ajax team was astonishing, right? And that's always been a nagging at me, like, bloody hell, that Ajax team was so good. Why is it never shown here? So, you know, I know there's plenty of Man United fans who also think there's something you can't change that's culturally rooted wrong in that football team at the moment, football club.
That's what I think.
And just changing the manager won't help.
That's what I think.
I don't know if he's the strong enough character to then like pull him through that. I've always said this: Manchester United and Liverpool, particularly, those two football clubs need a mad strong personality to do it. Yeah,
the only thing is a few of the signings there that have been disruptive. Anthony is a good example. Have been his signings. So that doesn't help him. Good, cool. James, it's Thursday. What have the listeners got to look forward to before the end of the week? And then we shall get into a couple of the questions that we've had in on the internet as well.
It's Clash of Correspondence tomorrow. It said Sheffield United versus Tottenham with Ben Thompson and Ricky Saunders. It won't be the last Clash of Correspondence for you this season, by the way, because we'll also be recording with Johnny and Gary before the Manchester FA Cup final next week as well. Not the Game Week 38 deadline stream is available for all patrons on Saturday. I might even make that one available for the free members as well. That'll be 8 p.m. Saturday night. There's no deadline stream this week because I will be in Sheffield for my sins. We've also on Patreon got our Game Week 38 preview tomorrow. And today we've got a podcast out on the potential re-emergence of the discussion of Game 39, the prospect of
and
Premier League
games overseas,
being played overseas, and particularly surrounding the idea of them being played in the United States of America, which isn't to be confused with the actual Game Week 39, which is going to be at the Hawthorns now.
It is at the Hawthorns on the 26th. If you head over to Twitter and search Game Week 39, plenty of tweets and promotion around that will pop up. Want to try and raise money for Street Child United? We'll be filming the game. I'll be doing some behind-the-scenes content. James will be helping Team South. Hopefully, conquer the trilogy 2-1, put it to bed, and we ride off into the sunset. So, do head over to the internet and search Game Week 39 and donate any money to Street Child United that you can. We'll have Benny and Iceman on next week.
I'm currently having rows with the South team at the moment.
Okay.
A little bit. I'm trying to convince them that we should play a back three.
Well, let's see how it plays out. But Benny and Iceman on, I think, next Wednesday we're talking about, aren't we? So a bit
Benny
of a preview
and Iceman
of the game.
are coming on at some point next week as well, yeah.
Lovely, jubbly. Good. A couple of questions on Twitter to wrap, James. A certain Clayton Fernandez. Do you think my good season was because I started podding with you?
I can't explain how he's had a good season.
Well, I can give you a couple of...
That guy, do you know what the word he used? Weapon. That guy's a weapon.
I would say a couple of things, Clates. Firstly, before you started podding, you still listen to the show every week. So, no, it's not like the advice is different when you're in the room to when it's not. And also, I pod with James every week, and I haven't had a good season. So, I would say, he went very early on triple Arsenal defence, and it looked so dumb at the time. There are situations where, following your own team, if you see something that other people are not seeing and you're willing to gamble on it, which he did, has ended up paying off quite well.
Love is blind.
That's also very true.
And you can see things the wrong way under that.
Yeah, it's very true as well. But in this situation, it's helped, right? Look, my man, I'm just looking at his bench boosted 145 points this week. Pretty decent. He's done very well. He owns Gvardiol's 27-pointer, so you can't argue with that. I've got a question coming in from Alex, FPL Physics. What's the biggest gap that can be overturned in a mini league? This game week, obviously, he's talking about.
That dead team that's 40 points behind you catching you.
Well, it's Haaland. A captaincy going off like a Haaland. The ceiling's immense.
Literally, even think of it that way, right? Let's just say Haaland scores a hat-trick, okay, at the weekend. What we got? 3 4s, 12, 15. 14, 17 pointer times 2, 34, right? Agree?
Yep.
If your captain blanks 2 pointer for, it's 30-point swing, isn't it?
Yep. Now, I've used a Haaland example, but it doesn't have to be Haaland, right? That could be the difference between Anthony Gordon and Michael Elise, right? Who knows? So I think more than that is mad tough. I mean, the more it is, the more rogue you've got to go, isn't it? And, almost hope that you land like the Vardio Hall at Fulham, for example. That's going to happen once in a blue moon. Yeah, go for it. The only advice I'd give people for the final day is, and people will have different targets, whether it's holding on to rank, catching a mini league leader,
catching, defending against someone particular. Don't have any regrets in the final decision, right? Particularly if you're chasing, go for it. You don't need to be apologetic if you make a move that's to block someone, if that's what you want to do. Do what's right for you. You're in your circumstance. You know what you want to do on final day. Loads of people have very different targets. For me, the way it's gone over the last couple of weeks, I clearly cannot hit top 50. My mini league positions aren't too relevant based on where I'm at. I would be quite happy if I could finish with 5 digits. The most sensible transfer for me this week is to buy Bukayo Saka, because that's probably the player that's going to hurt me the most if I don't own him. But I might still buy Kai Havertz. I'll have a think about it.
Right. Okie dokie. Well, with that advice, listeners, make sure you're subscribed. Hit the notification bell wherever you are listening to the podcast. We'd love to have you on board as one of our subscribers. Helps grow the channel. As mentioned, head over to patreon.com/Planet FPL. If you register as a patron, even as a free member, you'll get access to James's great podcast yesterday. Well, we were both on it, but you talked. You did the talking about the Spurs Man City game, which is a great listen from a fan's point of view. Other than that, we'll be back next week. Tuesday is the game week review.
Yeah, because I've got no chance of watching other games on Sunday because I'm going to be in Sheffield all day. So, yeah, game review pod will be next Tuesday. And so we'll have a pod out next Monday with FPL Tractor, our new Ipswich Town correspondent. That will be available for you next Monday.
Lovely jubbly. Listeners, stay safe. Look after yourselves. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Play it your way. Be nice to each other. Cue music, please. Man child.